Same question that I just asked you about the future at quarterback for New England. Dominique Foxworth brought up the name Matt Stafford, that maybe it's time for a new start in Detroit, and that maybe Stafford would be an option, if he is on the move, for someone like Bill. I just wanted to bounce it off you and see if you thought there could potentially be anything to that as we go forward.
Well, what I would say is this, that the Lions have an opening at GM. They have an opening at head coach. They're going to have to make some big decisions. And so clearly, I think the future of Matthew Stafford there is uncertain. They don't know what they're going to be doing with him. Now, I don't want to make Lewis uncomfortable here, but if Lewis were the general manager, I would say, Lewis, how would you view it? What would you do with Matthew Stafford? Why are you asking me that when you get the guy on the set? Who would you do for the Lions GM job?
Yeah, I knew where this was heading. I knew where this was going. I'm pretty smart.
That's good. Foresight. Good GM characteristics.
Look, Matthew Stafford. That's right. Yeah, it's not that hard. Look, Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback. Matthew Stafford's a real good quarterback. He needs some people. Look, he's got a good left tackle, good offensive center, 2 good running backs. They got some issues at wide receiver as far as unrestricted free agency is concerned. Matthew Stafford should be sitting right where he is. They build around him. Detroit will be just fine.
See, there's your answer. Greeny, you're coming to me, and there's an elephant in the room. We're sitting next to the guy who interviewed for the GM job recently, and you're asking me what to do with Matthew Stafford. Why are you asking me that question?
It's a perfect example of me passing the buck. That way, if Lewis is upset, he can be upset at you and not at me. That's a brilliant way. That's hosting 101. I just passed the buck to Shefty. All kidding aside, Shefty, there is a story in Detroit today that I just saw you tweeted.
Well, essentially a short time ago, basically, the Lions ruled out, essentially, their interim head coach. Robert Prince, the Lions wide receivers coach, is going to be coaching the team Saturday against Tampa Bay. So Robert Prince takes over for Darrell Bevell, who took over for Matt Patricia. And so the Lions are going on their 3rd head coach of the season Saturday against Tampa Bay. It'll be the wide receivers coach, Robert Prince.
To be clear, this is because of COVID reasons. This was not another firing. And for those who are not following it. Yeah, go ahead.
Darrell Bevell was a close contact. He's been living in a hotel room. It was his 28th wedding anniversary this week. He could not be with his wife, with his family on his anniversary. He had to be in a hotel room. And now not only has he been isolated in a hotel room, but now he will not be able to coach his team while he's been given that interim head coaching title. He is out for Saturday's game.
Now, that is terrible that he can't be a close contact of his wife on their 28th wedding anniversary. That just doesn't seem right. Okay, we will continue here in just a moment. Every single week, we seem to change the name of your segment.
This is knock on wood, damn it.
Taking them to the woodshed.
Greeny, how is that possible?
Firewood.
Your soul is mine.
This week, it is the wood pile. Chopped wood.
Excuse me?
Sour wood. The lights shine brightest, of course, in Hollywood. Is wood-fired turkey. Damien Woody is going to call somewhat turkey.
Perfect distillation of how stupid TV is, and I love it.
Okay, so today's wood-based pun is, wouldn't it be nice? So, D. Wood, I guess you're going to tell us about something that would have been nice. The floor is yours, big fella.
Well, I appreciate it, Greeny. Wouldn't it have been nice for the Rams to actually have prepared to play the Jets? And I get it. I understand it. They're coming off. They play on a Thursday night. They're coming off a high. They blew out the New England Patriots, totally dominated the game at home in SoFi Stadium. Okay, same weekend. Jets get thrashed by the Seattle Seahawks 40-3. They give up 176 yards rushing. Russell Wilson throws four touchdown passes. These guys in the film room looking at the Jets like, man, we about to beat these boys' heads in, favored by 17. But you know what? Herm always said, you play to win the game. You still have to play the game. Even though they're 0-12 or 0-13, whatever the Jets were. Really, they were 17-point favorites. And you went out there and converted 2 of 11 on third down. Jared Goff, 2 of 11 on third down. You couldn't run the ball. You couldn't throw. You had 1 pass over 20 yards in the game against the Jets. Against the Jets, Greeny. Come on, if you're the Rams. You had the inside track at the NFC West Division, and you slept on the only winless team in the league. Come on, dog. Come on, Rams. You got to be better than that. How in the world could you lose to a team that's trying to lose. Come on, Rams. Do better. Do better.
You are 100% preaching to the choir here. Let me bring the crew in on that. Like, Neek, there is a part of me that I somewhat jokingly came on here Monday and said I take back every good thing I said about the Rams, who I had been picking for the Super Bowl. But I guess D. Wood is making the point that they may have very well just sort of overlooked that game. How would you describe how concerned a fan of the Rams should be about that performance?
Yeah, I don't think they should be overly concerned. It's embarrassing, obviously, and it shows that you can certainly lose any given Sunday, which is true of every team. However, I wouldn't say one game makes a team any more than I would say that one good win would make a team, so one bad loss shouldn't make the team. The Rams should still, Rams fans and Rams players and coaches should still have confidence in their team headed in. And I think this actually might work out to their advantage. If the schedule continues to go kind of the way we expect it, then they might end up in a situation where they can play Washington in the first round rather than playing Tom Brady and Tampa Bay. So this works out well for everyone except for Jets fans.
That's correct.
Sorry, but
when you say no one win is that significant, you have overlooked the obvious in this particular case. And for that, I turn to my friend Adam Schefter. That one win will have great ramifications for the Jets, obviously. And look, I've said it all week long. Congratulations to their players and their coaches. They weren't trying to lose. They went out there to win a football game. But for the organization, I think clearly if the Jets had the first pick in the draft this year, Schefter, they were going to take Trevor Lawrence. What is your sense of what they are thinking if they wind up with the second pick relative to their current quarterback, Sam Darnold?
Well, that's the great question right now, Greeny. We've got a situation here where the Jets now have to evaluate everything. You could trade back. You could get maybe a team that wants one of these quarterbacks to trade up. There are a lot of different scenarios here for the New York Jets. They have to re-acquit themselves to the idea that there's a different way that they can go. And so it's going to be wide open. Like, it was a no-brainer at one. It's not so simple at two. There are a lot of different options that they have to sift through.
And one of the things they'll have to do is hire a new coach. We would assume, and in a perfect world, the coach will have some say in that. Wouldn't it be nice if this was a problem we didn't have to talk about? All right, guys, sit tight. Meanwhile, let's run the floor here through some of the other great performances from the NBA last night, and it begins with Zion. 2020 is here, no minutes restrictions. He finished his first game with a double-double, 15 points, 10 boards. Pelicans beat the Raptors 113-99. Zion played 30 minutes last night as he begins his second season. Meanwhile, new team, similar stat line for Russell Westbrook. The traditional triple-double for him, this one in his Wizards debut. 21 points, 11 boards, 15 assists. Washington losing, however, to the Sixers, 113-107. Joel Embiid, 29 points, 14 rebounds. And then, how about this spectacular finish? Buddy Hield, a last-second putback to give the Kings a 2-point overtime win right there over the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic had 29 points, 15 boards, 14 assists, but Hield with the last-second bucket, and Denver